I want to go through an entire day just speaking like this. I feel ridiculous, but I think that people would just get used to it.
The effects might be beneficial.
I think people would just get used to it.
Welcome everybody to pod number 23 of This Pickleball Life with Jilly B and K-Dubs. We are getting into how pickleball could be the secret to living your longest and best life. What is the secret to the pros who are getting older and getting better? Can you make $50,000 with DUPR betting in one weekend?
Whoa.
This Forbes article thinks you can. And lastly, with that, it's pod 23, the key to longevity.
You're tuned in now to This Pickleball Life. I'm K-Dubs and Jilly B is my wife. She's the pro and I've got the filler. She's sweet to me, but on the court she's a killer. Unadulterated and efficiently bringing you the best and worst things in PB. Tell your friends and stay for another. And no one loves us more than your mother. One thing's for sure, one hit and you're addicted. Grab a pal, grab a court, don't resist it. So click subscribe, let's go, let's get cracking. Things on gun, let's go, let's get laughing. This Pickleball Life.
I actually wrote that. It was my
She
birthday.
did.
This is a birthday pod, guys, and I'm wondering if Kristin found the theme of the day, longevity. On my birthday, coincidentally, Kismet, are you trying to say I might be able to keep playing pickleball and fulfill my MLP 3-year contract? Do I have a chance?
I'm saying that you are the oracle of all things.
No.
And with that oracle comes the predictive nature of anti-aging.
All right, well, it's a birthday pod, so let's get to it. Welcome to your favorite comedy podcast, disguised as a pickleball podcast, with me, Jilly B, aka Jill Braverman, top 20 pickleball pro, former tech CEO at DUPR, and former chief of staff at Major League Pickleball, and co-host of this pod.
And me, Kristin Walla, aka K-Dubs, Jilly's other half, founder of PB Gods and DUPR 4.09. So, happy birthday, Jill. How was your birthday? Did I do okay?
You did great.
Because we know on your birthday, it's all about me.
Well, we have a rule in the family, as I'm sure many do at home listening, which is
No one else has this rule.
we can't start talking about your birthday until mine is over. So,
Which is not fair because her birthday's in October. That leaves 2 months till December, where she gets 10 months. 10 months of Jill's preamble. And she doesn't even like birthdays.
I don't even like birthdays. I wish it were reversed. How about we do this? Let's swap birthdays. Why have we not thought of this?
How have we not gotten? You know, when I was a kid, I didn't like that my birthday was so close to Christmas. So my parents said, let's just celebrate your half birthday. And I did a birthday in June.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then you'd also get a full birthday December 12th.
No, then it was like, oh yeah, remember we did your birthday. Happy actual birthday. Okay, moving on.
You're the most reasonable kid ever if you let that fly. I'd be like, I want them both.
This was not part of the arrangement.
And I want Christmas in
I didn't
13
agree
days.
to this.
And I want Hanukkah.
I want it all.
Well, anyway, thank you. It was great. We went to
got
sushi with friends, and then cooked sausage and sauerkraut sandwiches the next night with more friends. It was a great birthday.
Is it too pretentious to talk about the ice cube?
No, we actually have to talk about the ice cube. So our friends Ben and Emily, who actually pushed us to record this pod and start this podcast, and I'm going to be talking about them later because they've pushed me to completely alter my diet.
And if you've been listening to the pod, you've heard about Ben and Emily.
They took us to Nobu, and I ordered a Manhattan. I haven't really been drinking a lot. I was kind of, getting
I always
ready
forget,
for MLP.
is a Manhattan the one without a cherry, and old fashioned is the one with the cherry?
I think
it was an old
I think I had a
fashioned.
Nobu old fashioned.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. I wasn't trying to correct you.
No,
I just
you're right.
always get
You're right.
confused myself.
And the ice cube.
First of all, took up 80% of the glass. Like full width.
Was the most beautiful ice cube you've ever seen. Takes up 80% of the glass and then has like a 10-minute story from the waiter, a genesis story. Tell us the genesis story of this ice cube.
This ice cube was born in Tokyo, outside of Tokyo in a small village. No, it's somewhere from Japan. They create an ice cube that has the Nobu logo in it and lasts for like 12 hours.
They ship it. They
It's
literally
probably full of
overnight
like
it
some
to
kind
Nobu.
of chemical silica something to make it not melt.
So he said 3 times like the ice
But it
cube
definitely lasted the
is
whole
from
meal.
Japanese spring water. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. And he's
Moving
like,
on.
no. They freeze it in Japan. They ship it like this. And I'm like, no, I think there's a misunderstanding here. There's no way. He's like, no, there is a way.
Yes,
That's exactly.
first it keeps all our fish cold on their way.
No, so
We just got canceled because I'm not allowed to do accents anymore.
so then Emily goes, I'll take a tequila and I want one of those ice cubes. I think
Tequila on ice.
the guy like didn't know how to respond because he's
Oh my
like,
God,
that's only for
so
the
funny.
Manhattan or the old fashioned.
But it was, I will insert said photo of said ice cube. But yeah, so we had like a 5-day birthday. It was a good one. No one should be limited to just the one day, you know. There has to be the preamble, the actual, the letdown. Is there one more birthday thing we're forgetting?
Well, I think the thing we're forgetting to talk about is it's October in the desert. And so this is like the nicest time of
The
year
real
in the
gift
Southern
of your birthday
California
was
desert.
80 degrees.
And it's only like 80 to 100 right now, which is so nice. 80 in the morning, 100 in the afternoon. It's
Well,
so
no,
nice.
literally yesterday the high was 80,
That's shocking.
which is I was almost cold. I needed a sweater. And then throughout the week, the high migrates up to 100.
So
which is
part
still
of
nice to
part of
me.
opening the house up for what feels like season, right, is you get the patio furniture back out, and you power wash outside.
everything. People think fall is about pumpkin everything. No, it's about power wash everything.
So Kristen's parents were visiting.
Power tools,
And she's
everything.
like, thanks, Dad, for being here. We're going to power wash, sweep,
Slave
vacuum,
labor.
and repeat outside for 3 straight days.
Hi, Dad. Thanks for visiting. I can't play golf. I can't play pickle. But can you help me do everything in the house that I've been putting off?
Thanks for visiting.
It was great. So I'm excited for the house. The house looks great. The house feels good. I just want to be able to walk around barefoot and not feel like I'm standing on sandpaper, you know?
Fair.
Grime. The other
Fair.
kind of grimes.
We also had Jeannie, Erikina, Caitlin Christian, Rachel Recker, Christine Trifinovich, all out to the desert for what they were joking was like a 3-day camp. And we played
girls camp.
girls camp. We played girls camp plus Jeannie's boyfriend, Casey. And we played, who
counts.
gave me the biggest bruise I've ever gotten in my life on a pickleball court. And we played for 3 days, and that was super, super fun.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we enjoyed them. We tested out the kielbasa
Yep.
with them. It was such a success. We repeated that for last night's dinner. We're just enjoying our best desert life.
And then last quick catch-up item before we jump into the theme of the day is my sister's in town in the desert and gave me the birthday gift of playing yesterday on my birthday. And yeah, I think, I don't know if we're going to be able to partner up next year. I think she's got a solid 6 months to a year to go. She's dinking better. And it's just really interesting to see these former D1 scholarship NCAA All-American tennis players pick up the sport. And like, how long does it take? Does it take 6 months for them to get up to speed? Is it a year? Is it dependent on who you're training with, your education, the content you're consuming? And so during the Pickle Fest, which is this huge digital symposium of education and learning in pickleball that's coming up, I believe, October 12th. October 16th.
With our friend.
Sanj
AKA
Carter.
Sanj.
I'm going to be doing a piece, or we're going to be doing a piece on from amateur to pro. Like, what do you need
If you
to
have
make that
all the
jump?
tools in your tool chest, what are you doing and how do you do them and for how long?
Yeah. And that makes
Really
me think
cool.
of my sister a lot and her road. So yeah, we got our butts kicked by Kyron Burrell here in the desert, and then Maddie. And we had to switch because we were fighting in the very first game, and then Maddie and I beat Kyron and Natalie like 6-1. And then Natalie and I ended together, and we lost really tight to Kyron and Maddie, which was an improvement from our first game. But yeah, that's the progress with my sister. We'll keep y'all updated. And then last, we have Vegas coming up in 2 days. I'm playing with Tyra Black and DJ Young. Super excited about these partnerships. And then we've got MLP, which might be moving to Dallas. And we have nationals. So if anyone is listening to this in Dallas, wants to host us, email
Take
this
in a
pblife
Pro.
at gmail.com.
Yes, please. One other thing you didn't mention was my physical therapy appointment
Yeah.
with our boy Vince. We love Vince. And I've escalated now to one-legged balancing dinks.
Nice.
Literally, our PT has a pickleball paddle in his office, and I was dinking while he would toss me the ball. And Jill was over on the other table, 40 feet away. Hit him, Kristin, hit him. So I went like 3 more dinks and then ding, nice little speed up to the left shoulder. He never saw it coming. And everyone else in the physical therapy office was going nuts. I'm now a legend in the physical therapy office in Indio.
Oh my God,
So
I love that. You're going to be out on the court in no time, 6 months.
Yeah, like it's hard for me to believe. I can stand on a balance pad and one-legged hit dinks, but I can't play pickleball for another 10 months.
I know.
Anyway, I'm not going to question it. So should we move on to our
theme of the day?
Theme of the day.
It's the theme of the day.
Longevity. So a couple weeks ago, we're going to talk about this after watching the Blue Zones on Netflix, which if you haven't already watched, definitely check it out. And I think episode 3 specifically talks about pickleball. But before we got to that, we're just like watching along. They're doing Okinawa, Japan. They're doing Italy. And I'm like, everything they're saying is really clicking with what pickleball does, because they're talking about people squatting, people hanging out together, having a good time, people climbing hills, people, getting all of the juices flowing of both camaraderie, of competition, of playing games, of singing. So if you sing while you play pickleball, you officially do everything you can do to stay 100 years old other than eating food. So could we combine all of the tactics of these Blue Zones people all in one pickleball game? Challenge accepted. Well, what was your take?
Well, not to steal your pod notes, but Steve Kuhn always says pickleball is like the Benjamin Button of sports.
Absolutely. I thought that was your pod note.
No, that was yours.
Told you we were going to do this 3 weeks ago, but there was just too much going on in the pickleball world. But I think this is so cool and so much a part of how pickleball is beyond other sports.
Yeah.
And people can make fun of it all you want for starting with our elder statesmen, but the fact that you can include every age is part of the magic.
And when I go down to the courts here, the public courts at Fritz Burns Park or Freedom Park, especially at like 2, 3, 4 p.m., it's like 16, 17, 18-year-old guys playing.
Yeah. Well, and obviously we live in the desert, so it's already skewed older. Most places are busy.
Literally the Benjamin Button of sports.
At different times, yeah. But I was really pleased to revisit this idea because, like, 12 years ago, I went to a Sanjay Gupta speech, which, if you don't know, he's the doctor for CNN. And I never forgot 2 of the things he said that were in the Okinawa episode. One was ikigai, which is purpose in life, right? Like, a lot of people go through life, they just like have a family or they have a job and they do their thing and they get so routine that they have no driving force. They have no inspiring aspect to their life, and that's so important, is to have some kind of passion. And the other thing is harahachibu, which means in Japanese 3/4 full, and it's this idea that, like, we all have an internal mechanism that says you're done eating, push the plate away, and you can tell when you have this moment because you will almost without fail, especially at a meal like Thanksgiving where you're all gathered at a real table and you're having dinner, you will lean back and exhale. And
that means
you won't realize it, but that was your
full.
harahachibu. You were done. But then you like get distracted talking, and 5 minutes later you're chowing down another 3 portions.
What's the opposite of harahachibu? That's what I do. Ignore that harahachibu. Ignore boo. No boo. No boo.
Let's see. That would be 5/4 full. So
Yeah.
Go hachibu.
Yeah.
She go.
I
She
go.
go hard.
I go hard.
Fun fact, I went to Japan when I was 12 years old on an exchange trip. So I learned how to count to 10 and how to say, wow, sugoi. Hajime mashite. That's pretty much all I remember. Ichi ni san shi go. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that the other thing I really loved was a moai, I think is how they pronounce it. And that's like their committed social circle.
Yeah.
And I make fun of my mom sometimes for her book club because she doesn't need a book club to like have friends or to read, but
It's her moai.
because she already has so many social circles. But yeah, whether that's religion or going
Pickleball.
to church or pickleball
Yeah,
or
you've got a moai.
going to a book club or whatever you may enjoy in your life, like don't give it up. We are social animals, and laughter brings longevity. And I loved seeing this like 102-year-old lady with her family over, and they're like tossing rings into like some kind of Japanese cornhole game.
Love it.
So,
So how does this relate to pro players and longevity?
yes, how does it relate? And in the sense that we see some players who are all throughout the spectrum. We've got Annalie Waters at 16.
Yeah.
And we've got Eric Lang and Simone and Eva Radzikowska in their mid.
So let's go through this
40s.
list. We have Tina Pisnik, 42 years old. Travis Rettenmeyer, 40. Simone Jardim, 44. Eva Radzikowska, 43. Susanna Barr, 45. Irina Terashenko, 40. Eric Lang, 42. And I'm sure we've missed some people.
Totally. Yeah,
And-
I mean, 40 is almost like, is 40 old?
I mean,
but
Susanna Barr is probably playing the best pickleball of her life. Eric Lang just dedicated himself full time. Simone's like a fine wine. Travis Rettenmeyer getting better. Tina Pisnik's still learning the game, and God only knows how good she can be.
Tina has vaulted into the top 10 on DUPR.
Yeah, and so it's just interesting, like, and then I see some of like younger people, like in their 20s or early 30s, these former NCAA All-Americans, like my sister, for instance, and they're getting into it. And I'm like, wow, like, are players better later in life because they've got a decade of playing or strategy knowledge, or like,
is it their diet? Is it their exercise? Is it their training?
Stop thinking about it like, what's my form on my forehand dink? And they're thinking about it more strategically. Like, okay, I want to hit this person's right shoulder. This person's weak close to their body. This person's weak far away from their body. Like,
It's so
is
easy.
there some longevity in being older? Longevity in the sport because you're older? Are you wiser?
Right.
Am I making sense?
Well, it's interesting too when like you go through, the world of pickleball and you're like, oh, who should draft who and like who still got it, and like, is it important to be young or do you just need to be fit? And like, if you're fit and older, that's the perfect person. And
yeah. Is that a perfect combination? Fit and older. You have like the maturity, the knowledge, the experience, and the fitness of a 20-year-old.
And I'm not saying this, but I know some people going into this season were going, okay, Hayden Patrick, an uber talented kid, but like, can he be the leader of his team? And so much of MLP is that idea of like, you can be the like chief of your tribe, so to speak.
If we were to compile a list of the, let's say, top 50 males and females with doubles DUPR, what do you think the average age is? 34? My age?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I would say the highest like concentration of the bell curve is 22 to 25, right? It's like, okay, you're out of college, you have time, and now let's give this thing a shot. There's a couple of teenagers, very few. And then
what's the median
there's a
age?
chunk of 40 to 45-year-olds. There's like a kind of weird dearth between 34 and 40.
I would say the median's got to be 32 to 34.
Yeah, I bet that is it.
So let's look that up.
Barely over
after
30.
This, and we can do a pod note. Ruck solar packs. Do you have someone in your life who's impossible to shop for? The Ruck solar pack is definitely our favorite pickleball bag. It's also sleek, fits your laptop, your paddles, and it has a solar panel to charge all devices.
Like, a solar panel, like
how cool
who
is
comes
that?
up with that? That is the coolest idea ever. It literally charges your devices from the solar pack while you're playing pickleball. I mean, does it get better than that? I don't think so.
You can visit ruckpack.com. That's RUKPACK.com. You can use code JILLYB for 15% off your next order.
RUKPACK.com and use code JILLYB for 15% off on your next order.
Seeing all these players who are getting older and getting better makes me think about my own longevity, my own shelf life. And I know that I've made some super big modifications to my diet this week. And in turn, when you're the one who cooks in your household, that means you have also had to undergo these diet changes. And a lot of it's
You
been...
say that like it's harder for me, but I just sit down and chow.
Yeah,
you
it's true.
actually
Have to do the work.
procure the hunting and gathering and cooking.
So I was talking to our physical therapist, Vince, and he was like, you know, Jill, your tendonitis in your calf and you're trying to recover with your hamstring injury from, 12 weeks ago in Denver. Your body would feel so much better. You would recover quicker if you're eating 100 grams of protein a day. How much protein do you eat a day? And I'm like, 20? Like,
yeah.
we don't eat a lot of like, I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and grains.
Yeah.
And he was like,
I love bread.
Literally. And he was like, try and get to 100. And even trying to get to 100, I'm like at 50.
Yeah. You think he says 100 because he just wants 50 and he knows he says 100? One day you'll get to 80
he was
and
like,
the other days
get
you'll
to
get
100
to 50.
grams of protein a day and 3,500 calories a day. And I'm like, that would require me to eat
every hour.
Yeah. And I go,
hour.
and I'm like, I skip breakfast. He's like, you're a pro athlete. You're not eating anywhere near enough protein or fat in your diet. And you're only eating 2 meals a day. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what are you doing? And it was this real like come to Jesus moment, right?
Accidental keto.
And this was happening at the same time. Our good friends Ben and Emily were like, hey, you should try bulletproof coffee. And we feel so much better on it. Like you'll be full all morning. So Kristin, you've been making the bulletproof coffee. Tell everyone at home, what is bulletproof coffee?
Well, thanks for asking, Jill. Bulletproof coffee begins with raw butter. And if you're wondering, isn't butter always raw? No, it is not. It's usually cooked. And by cooked, I mean pasteurized. So
we found a raw source.
Raw butter. What would you say? Do you taste like a little grassier, a little earthier?
It definitely tastes grassier. It's good. I like it.
Our cat loves it.
Yeah, Toby. It's Toby
We
approved.
gave him a chunk of butter this morning.
Orange tabby approved.
And he did not turn it away. And that's more than we can say about a lot of things that say cat food that he won't eat. And then I put the pat of butter in the bottom of the glass so the hot espresso falls on top of the butter and melts it. And then in our oat milk, I add collagen powder and MCT oil.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
the
correct?
brain oil. MCT oil, yeah.
Yeah, what is MCT oil?
MCT oil is highly refined coconut oil.
Oh, it's literally from a coconut?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought it was from like, dilapidated monkey's brains or something.
Nope, no monkey brain, just coconuts. Nope.
Coconuts. Well, what does MCT stand for?
Do you think that I'm an MCT expert?
You bought it. I thought maybe you read the label.
I'll look it up.
No.
Look it up.
Anyway, so, and of course, always using our favorite illy beans for our espresso. But
it stands for medium chain triglycerides, which is what I was going to guess.
I was totally going to guess that.
They're fats that are made in a lab from coconut and palm kernel oils. Typical dietary fats are called long chain triglycerides. MCTs are a fat source for people who do not tolerate typically other types of fat. And it's supposed to be just like
but if you're allergic to palm oil,
fuel.
Like one of our friends is allergic to palm oil, that would exempt.
Probably don't want to take MCT.
Yeah, kind of like you probably don't want to take bee pollen.
No, that's funny. Yeah, I started to add bee pollen to my diet and then realized I'm allergic to bees and I probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, we noticed when her face broke out into a balloon. No, I'm just kidding.
When I couldn't breathe, I was like, okay. No, that's a joke. I didn't. I am allergic to bees.
Oh,
but
she read that label first.
Yeah, I did read the label.
So yeah, it's definitely an earthier coffee.
So let's be okay. So I feel
we
fuller
originally
longer.
made it.
So I definitely feel
in a
fuller
blender.
longer as an effect. with this MCT oil butter coffee.
I know, which is like having a reverse effect when we're supposed to eat 100 grams of protein a day, and I'm so full I can't eat another morsel.
I will say I feel like I have been playing really good pickleball on it, because I play in the morning, so I have this.
You thought Nocki was getting closer, and then all of a sudden she was like, whoop, and it's really just you.
It's
You're
just my
that
coffee.
much better.
It's just my coffee. But it's true. I did play with all the desert girls, the girls that came out for the desert, Jeannie and Caitlin and Christine and Rachel. And we played for like 3.5 hours, and I wasn't hungry and I wasn't tired. So I think that I attribute that to the coffee.
True. Yeah, I was like waiting for Hangry Jill to emerge, and she didn't.
No. And then in addition to that, just trying to get to that 100 grams of protein a day is tough. So incorporating more of those collagen peptides, but also just more animal protein, which we've like basically, since we've known each other, been like 95% vegetarian. So that's been difficult, and I have been trying.
The only meats we eat are Mimi's.
Yeah.
I would say it's closer to 80. Are we really, do you think 90%?
I think we have been. Yeah. Absolutely.
I basically eat 90% avocados.
That's true. Kristen's diet is 90%
things that can
avocados.
go on an avocado.
But yeah, if you're interested at home, like track your protein like I did for 3 days, and you'll get an idea of just how difficult it is to get to 100. And if you have any advice for me, if you agree or disagree with this, let me know. You can email thispblife or drop it in the comments what you have found works for your body. And I'm going to start reading this book that's been highly recommended called The Carnivore Code, which is all about the benefits of eating more animal products.
It's not the sequel to Omnivore's Dilemma.
Total opposite of Omnivore's Dilemma. Yeah, which is something that we've obviously lived by. So interesting.
Yeah, what I thought was interesting with Omnivore's Dilemma, not to digress too far, is that it's not necessarily about like eat this way, vegetarian, not vegetarian. It's not about like don't kill the animals. It's about how. And I think every time we go through some kind of like regime change with food, it's like America doesn't really have a lot of regulations around how you slaughter animals. Oof. And that's more the issue than eating the animals and how much.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying the only way to get to 100 grams protein a day is eating animal products. It's just way easier. It's just, there's only so much peanut butter, yogurt, and cheese that you can consume to get to 100.
Totally. And when you watch those people on alone out in the wilderness for 100 days, it's almost without fail the person who wins is the person who
catches the meat.
Yeah, something large enough to store and keep eating and getting the fat in their diet.
Yeah. Without
fat, your brain dies, right? So, yes, what's the moral of the longevity story besides play pickleball like everyone in Loma Linda?
I think the moral is pickleball is literally the Benjamin Button of sports. And I think people who play it, not only is the sport getting younger, but people who play it feel younger and feel happier and feel better. And it's one of the few sports in the world where you have people at the top of their game in their 40s. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And is that going to change with all the 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are up and coming? Like, I've been doing all this research on up-and-coming players. It's been so interesting with the upcoming MLP Shuffle Draft. So here I am watching video of Riley Bonnert and Zoe from Taiwan, and Jess Warren and Ava Kalis and Alia Brown, and just all of these up-and-coming young girls. And I'm like, is this in 1 year the total future of the sport, or are we going to see Tina Pisnik continuing to get better, and that list that I read earlier of players in their 40s continue to get better? Like, I'm so fascinated by this.
Wow. Yeah, totally. You know what you just made me think of is like, I think there are other sports where you peak in your 40s.
What sport do you
and
peak
what
in
came
your 40s?
To mind was endurance running.
Oh.
So, this is just a 1 minute quick Google search, but the average marathon runner's age is 42. Now that's just like the Boston Marathon. This is not Olympic marathon.
Wow.
But they say that the golden age for men is 27 and for women is 29, which is your 20s, but that's still late 20s. Like, that's still to say that you're not
for
best.
Running when you
this
say
is
the
for
golden
marathon.
age for marathon running?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are most likely to run your best marathon 27 and 29 men and women respectively. So it is to say that there is something that builds up throughout the years of endurance and time. And when you can combine that sweet spot of being able to move well enough and have the know-how of the strategy and the background of, you know, being calm under pressure, I think that's the key.
Golf.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like pickleball gets so compared to tennis, like, oh, you can't be 40 in tennis and successful. I'm like, do you
What about
know who Novak Djokovic?
Speaking of raw milk.
Oh my gosh, how old is Novak? 36. And it gets so compared to tennis, and it's like compares to golf, compares to something else. Just because it's played sometimes on a tennis court doesn't mean you need to compare pickleball to tennis. It's a different sport.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make us less that top 10 players are in their late 30s and 40s.
More awesome. Like I said, I think the fact that you can keep playing to your, you know, old, let alone be competitive in your late 40s.
It's amazing.
Really, really cool part of pickleball. So, shall we move on from our longevity talks?
Average age per discipline in the Summer Olympics. Okay. Dressage.
Ooh, dressage. That's horsies.
Okay. Jumping. Still horsies. What sport is eventing?
Also horsing.
Okay. Thank you. Shooting.
On a horse. No, I'm just kidding. Shooting horses, still wrong. I was thinking shooting though earlier, like, you know, hold a gun and hold steady.
Beach volleyball, 29.8 years old.
Also, if
and that's
you're
pretty
into
physical.
Psychology, With Winning in Mind is a book written by a shooter, an Olympic shooter. Excellent for any sport. With Winning in Mind, it's like the skinniest, best book I've ever read.
So you wait 10 years to tell me about this book?
I've just been teaching you one chapter at a time.
Okay. Beach volleyball, 29.8. Sailing.
That's pretty impressive. Beach volleyball is a very physical sport.
But again, something like pickleball to me that's
You don't
very
move far.
strategic, very tactical, physical, but in a confined space.
Yeah.
Sailing, 29.7. Mountain biking, 28.1. Cycling.
Mountain biking.
Yeah, you know, it's cycling is another longevity sport. So 28 years old. Triathlon, 28.
Yeah, again, these endurance, like gritty sports. Whereas on the flip side, what are like the youngest sports?
Okay, so here's
gymnastics.
the youngest. Gymnastics. Rhythm gymnastics, artistic gymnastics, diving, swimming, BMX, because you have to have no frontal lobe to be able to do BMX. Taekwondo, football.
Turn it off.
Trampoline, boxing. These are all like 22 to 23-year-olds. Synchronized swimming, weightlifting.
Basically, the dumber you are, the better you do at extreme sports. No, it's a certain kind of turning off your instinct for injury.
All right, someone's gonna have to explain this to me. Table tennis is pretty young, 24 years old. Tennis not far after that, 25 and a half.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, table tennis.
And then I'd say the sport right in the middle is naturally slalom canoeing. That was going to be my guess. All right.
Yeah.
So I hope this tangent was interesting. That was interesting for me.
Totally. I have a digression on our digression.
Go ahead.
That is, we've known that there's something about gymnastics that skews like ridiculously not young, like not just 17 and 18-year-olds, but like 12, 14-year-olds. And now we've come to discover so much of the coaching of gymnastics is borderline abusive, like child, grooming, so to speak. And even without the like sexual aspect of the scandals, just the way that they train them is so intense. Are we going to get to a place where people stop signing their kids up for gymnastics and the age of gymnasts will skew higher and they'll look different in 10, 20, 30 years? Just my pondering as we talk about age and longevity. So, any more age talks?
No.
Should we move on to Vegas, baby?
Yeah, Vegas, baby. I think I mentioned earlier in the pod, heading to Vegas Thursday.
Back with Tyra.
And
DJ. Second time with DJ.
I'm probably playing the right 20% better than when I was playing the right with DJ in Utah probably 6 weeks back. So I'm really, really excited for that.
Yeah.
And excited to play with Tyra. She's gotten so much better. I feel like I've gotten better. And the few times we've played, like when we first played, she was like just figuring out, you know, it was in St. George, Utah, right when I was coming back, and she was still figuring out a lot of stuff. And then we played again, and I tore my hamstring. So I'm excited to play where we both are in our like levels in game right now, because I think we have really good offense together and we have really good defense together. So
yeah,
super curious how we'll do. I'm excited.
Who is your first round?
Dana Raugust and Taylor Garcia, two up-and-coming players I don't know too much about.
Yeah.
Then we would play Jade Kawamoto and Irina.
Okay.
And then potentially Anna Bright and Leia if we make it to the quarterfinals.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And we are headed out there, what, Wednesday?
Thursday.
Yep.
Like 4-hour drive. 4-hour drive.
It's nice to be able to drive.
And don't do what I usually do, which is I forget that there is a time change.
Oh, they're mountain time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind when we leave. Someone don't let me forget.
Happens to the best of us.
Still haven't figured out a place to stay, and that's in 48 hours. So, you know, just typical.
Yeah, we'll just put a pillow in the car. It's fine.
No.
I'll bring the power washer. Hose you off in the morning. That is probably a weird sort of pleasant shower as on a hot day.
Big
we should try that sometime. Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's all about the proximity away from the nozzle.
We're going to take a quick break, brought to you by my favorite ball, Neo Slick, the Vega 40 pickleball. They have an indoor and an outdoor ball. Love the way this ball plays. I love the price point of this ball. So if you want to pay half price for balls that are going to last twice as long, the Vega 40 ball is for you.
That's like a quarter of the price. Unless you hit one over the fence. So, yeah, do you want to get into the shuffle draft at all, or do you want to skip that?
I don't have too much to offer. The MLP Challenger Shuffle Draft ends, applications end today. Teams receive a list tomorrow.
Which is the 3rd. Also, happy birthday, Mom, by the way.
Yes.
My mom's birthday is today, the day after
Libras.
Jill's. Yeah, so the applications ended the 3rd, and then on Friday the 6th, we get to find out who's swapping, dropping, and changing up the roster. Premier teams can only trade, so I assume they will announce that whenever, if they decided to do that. I was trying to pontificate on what teams might want to make a trade. After Atlanta, the Bouncers, Dallas, Utah, and Brooklyn were the bottom 4. But, you know, there's just so many other mitigating factors. I don't think anyone's going to give up on their players. I think we won't see any premier trades. But we'll see. Definitely going to see some shuffling around with the Challenger, which does make the storylines more interesting, I think, in Challenger. So I'm excited
And
to
if there's
find out what
anything we
happens.
learned from Team Dallas's successes last season was make change. Making changes is a good thing if you need to. If you need to, it's a very good thing.
In after Mesa last season, Miami and Dallas were both in the bottom 3.
Yeah,
and then ended up finishing the whole season 3rd and 5th.
Yep.
So that's a come around. For sure.
Gosh, I just still think that's so interesting that Dallas and Utah, from a premier standpoint, so that's the team led by Dallas was James Ignatowicz and Callie Smith and Elise Jones and Jay DeVilliers, and then Utah was obviously Anna Lee and AJ Kohler and Thomas Wilson and Irina. I'm just so shocked those teams did not make it out of pool play, but as you said, they
were in the pool of death.
Very, very, very tough. Yeah.
Anna Lee ended up in the pool with Riley and Ben.
Well, we were laughing on our team like we were winning 1 coin toss away from the semifinals. We lost 4 coin tosses. So, you know, how much of MLP success is completely pool dependent, toss dependent, a combination of all of those things. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is you don't win MLP without a hair of luck.
Totally. Well, and also in Mesa, I think the 5s with Anna Lee ended up in a dream breaker in every match. I don't think she made 1 dream breaker this time. So.
I mean, look, the season the event that we won it, we almost lost to the Orlando Squeeze in our very first round. And it was like 21-19 in a dream breaker. And it was so not only did we almost lose that, then we almost lost to DC the last match of the night at 9 p.m. down a match point in a Dream Breaker, and Ben Newell played the craziest point I've ever seen in my life against Sam Querrey and won the point to bring us to 2020. And we won that like 22-20.
So crazy.
So we won the event and almost didn't make it out of pool play.
Yeah.
Like skin of our teeth.
And even the flourishing double Ernie finish against the DC in the semis, like, was still also a close match in every match, I think, except maybe one. So yeah, it's MLP. Anything can happen.
It's true.
Jill, do you want to get into the Jilly B?
I thought this was a great pod to talk about a Dear Jilly B question that I got probably 2 months ago sent to us via email. And it's about DUPR. And also, can you make $50,000 in one weekend betting on pickleball using only the DUPR algorithm? So I wanted to tie these two things together because I think it's a super interesting discussion.
Dear Jilly B, with a lot of good and negative PR about DUPR in the past few months, are you proud of DUPR and how you left DUPR?
Yeah, I love this question. The short answer is yes. So for those of you that don't know, I was the head of the commercial department at a company called Universal Tennis Rating. And then I was super lucky to get introduced to Steve Kuhn when I left UTR and Brooks Wiley. And Steve asked me if I wanted to run DUPR. And I was like, well, that would be a dream. I mean, pickleball, my favorite thing in the world, plus my background in tech and rating systems.
But first you said, never do ratings again. And then you said it would be a dreamland dream.
It's
Just
true.
Kidding.
I did say I didn't want to do ratings anymore, but Steve said, he convinced me because he's very, very, very convincing. And I was super proud of where we left. When we left, we were in every major club, association, league, and facility across the United States. We were in, I think, 16 countries. We were the official rating of 11 different federations, including the World Pickleball Federation. We had predictive power that was very, very high. I obviously know all about predictive power of a rating after leaving UTR. And when I left, the one thing is that Steve and I had really fundamental differences of opinion on how the rating should work and what it should look like. And he felt that the rating should be very simple, very easy to understand, a static system like a chess, or a frozen system like a chess-based system.
Or like everyone else who's tried to make a rating in pickleball.
Right.
Which is part of the issue.
Mm-hmm. He wanted to focus more on like the binary wins and losses versus points won. And he didn't like that the rating would change while you weren't playing, right? So he didn't like the fluid nature of the rating. So we had these like very, very, very fundamental differences. Like I wanted to build something that would be the most accurate. And I think Steve was focused on building something that could be, close in accuracy, but like easier to understand, easily adopted and beloved. And I came from UTR where I knew like, no matter how good your rating is, people are going to have problems with it because the ratings business is notoriously a difficult one to like be beloved. And so I think it's good that I left when I did, and I'm stoked to see this Forbes article that came out all about DUPR and its accuracy and how you could have wagered, let me find it, $100 just following DUPR's recommendations. You would have gone 14-2 in betting in the last PPA event and turned 100 into 829.
This is like the best piece of press that DUPR has ever gotten.
Oh my gosh. And like, to take a step back, sometimes people don't think ratings are very important in a sport, but like, think about it like this. It deepens a player's connection to the game by giving a player a tangible metric by which to track their improvement in their performance. So like, what is sport without tracking your improvement in your performance? It's not sport. It's literally the anathema to sport. So now that there's gambling in pickleball, I thought that this Forbes article would be super interesting. So it's titled, Betting in Pickleball Has Arrived, a Guide and Some Observation. So the article says, like it or not, sports betting has become completely normalized in the US, especially with the huge rise in online betting sites the last 10 years. $16 billion was legally wagered on just the last NFL Super Bowl. An estimated 50 million people placed a bet of some sort on that one game alone. So to put in perspective, That's 1 in 5 every adults in this country.
Wow.
Even more, people will place wagers at some point throughout a typical NFL season, even more people. Most of the major sports franchises in this country have some sort of partnership with a betting site. 44 of the 50 U.S. states now have a casino presence, many of which have sports books. 45 of the 50 states have lotteries that enable Powerball purchases, so betting in general is here to stay. There are 3 main betting options offered in pickleball: money line, over-under, and point spreads. Additionally, bettors can combine bets into parlays, and the platform supports dynamic in-game betting. And so if you want to read the article, we will post it. And the brains behind DUPR's algorithm, Scott Mendelson, provided an analysis of DUPR's predictive model versus FanDuel's model to compare performance. And I believe FanDuel is just using PPA ranking points and the seeds, which is really misleading because Jaume Martinez Vic, my MLP partner, comes in and has been cleaning clocks and singles.
Doesn't get points because he's not a gold card holder.
But he doesn't have a ton of points. He's not a gold card holder. So I can't imagine that, like, is the house even making money on these pickleball events? Because if you have a little bit of pickleball knowledge and you're using DUPR, you could go make some serious money in a single weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, in my limited estimation, most betting houses are fluid based on where the bets fall. So does that quickly change in the midst of these, or do they set these lines and that is it? So I don't know if they're there yet to be constantly updating however that algorithm works, but it's definitely an interesting storyline.
I texted the head of DUPR and was like, you guys got to start charging for this data now that people can make some good money using it.
Yeah, this could be the greatest thing ever for DUPR. We'll see. Yeah, I wonder what the parallel is in other sports. Like, no one looks at Tiger Woods' gin handicap before they bet on the Masters, but should they?
That's funny.
Like, when does scoring average differ from where people's, odds are for the odds makers? Where do the odds makers come up with their stuff? All questions I don't know the answer to. Great pod, Kristin. I'm asking you, our podcast audience, to educate us. Please, who's a bettor out there? Tell us everything. Any other additions to that?
No, check out the
Other
article.
Than no pros are ever allowed to bet on pickleball. They all sign a code of conduct that says, I will never bet in pickleball.
Correct. And if you have been betting on pickleball, drop in the comments. Tell us how you've been doing. Tell us what you've turned your $100 into. We want to know.
Yeah.
And tell me if you'll be betting on me this weekend. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. Do you want to get into just a little bit of the difference between singles and doubles in betting?
Yes. So singles is far more so DUPR's far more predictive, as most rating systems are, in singles versus doubles. I mean, you've got
one less variable. Well, 2 less variables, really.
Yeah. You're always fighting with a rating system this notion of like decoupling performance among pairs, disentangling pairs.
Yeah. No one will ever know how good Colin Johns really is. Full stop. Well, like, we'll never be able to know exactly how good Colin Johns is.
Well, you're talking about the difficulty of decoupling his performance to Ben Johns. But DUPR should be able to do that because he's got mixed doubles results. So you're able to decouple it in that way. But it's still very difficult.
And I guess MLP helps.
Yeah, absolutely. So check out the article. Let us know what you think, and let us know if you're gambling on pickleball and if you're gambling this weekend. And if you think it's good for the sport or not.
Yeah, Vegas, baby.
By the numbers. By the numbers.
So we kind of accidentally migrated our by the numbers into Jilly B. I think that was the first ever by the numbers Jilly B.
Oh, because I had all the gambling information in there.
Just realizing that. Do you have any other New York Hustlers updates for us?
Well, it's just so interesting to be wondering, are we playing in Southern California for Major League Pickleball? Are we playing in Dallas?
Yeah, it's true. We don't know.
I was really looking forward to...
I think it's sounding like not LA, because if it were going to be LA, it would be LA. What were you going to say?
No, just I was looking forward to sleeping in Southern California, being in SoCal, and one less airline and flight. So that's really my only update. And then obviously we'll see if my team or any teams make changes by this Friday.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
So that was an efficient pod.
Good.
That's all I got.
Awesome. As always, y'all can write into thispblife@gmail.com. We want to hear your questions. Send in a Dear Jilly B question, thoughts, comments, and yeah.
Let us know what you think of 100 grams of protein and the keys to longevity and the keys to betting and everything else.
All right, Kristin, pickleball is joy.
Don't let anyone tell you differently.
Thanks for listening.
We out.
This Pickleball Life is a Tomahawk production, 100% organic, self-made, and homegrown. Music by K-Dubs, editing by K-Dubs and Jilly B. Check out pbgods.com and use code PBLifers for 10% off your next order. Do you have a question for Jilly B? Email us at thispblife@gmail.com to be included in future episodes. Don't forget to click subscribe. This Pickleball Life.